Hello everyone and welcome to Claret and Booze. My name's Nick. I hope you're all well. What we're going to be talking about today, touch a little bit on the upcoming European game. It's not going to be a preview or anything like that. I'm just going to talk about some of the comments from David Moyes in the pre-match press conference. Well, I'm not actually. I'm going to play you the comments from Moyes in relation to that to save me going through it, and then we can pick the bones out of that. And then what we're going to do is talk about the fallout on Twitter, the fan fallout on Twitter on the fan debate created by the articles that John spoke about earlier in the week, you know, by Ian Ladyman, I think that's his name, Ladyman, Ladyboy, something like that. I don't know. The journalist that wrote the article blaming the fans. And following that, on Twitter, there's been a bit of a debate. We've had comments on the video that John did yesterday, basically blaming the fans, agreeing with this guy, saying we are the problem. We're going to talk about that and pick the bones out of that as well, and do a few other bits and pieces. But as always, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, because we're approaching 5k. So try and get us there before the weekend. I think we need like 11 more subs, and we're at 5k. And if you enjoy the video, or even if you don't, please drop a like on it, because it does really help us. Right, to start off with, what we'll do, I'll play you the first part of the press conference from today, and then we'll pick the bones out of what David Moyes says. If I can find it. There you go.
So there's Vladimir Kufal still got a problem with his foot, his foot. And Mickey and Tony's just got a bit of a calf injury, which he picked up in Cyprus last week.
When would you expect both of them to return?
I couldn't tell you at the moment, not sure yet, no.
No worries. Looking ahead to tomorrow night, although the league form has been challenging, is tomorrow a good opportunity to get some more momentum and get into a quarter-final of the European?
Yeah, it sure is. You know, it's something which we worked really hard for last year. We finished 7th in the league, which gave us a chance to be in the Conference League. So we're enjoying it. We've enjoyed our trips to Europe. We enjoyed the result last week. We've got a job to do on Thursday night to make sure we get the job done and finish the job off. And if we can do that, then we'd reach another quarter-final of European competition for 2 years in a row. So it's important, it really is.
What have been the keys to success in this competition? Maybe that's different to the league form, do you think?
Well, we were successful last year, and we had really good league form last year as well. So I think it's too simplistic a question for me to give you an easy answer. But our form in Europe at the moment is good, and we're hoping we can keep it going.
I wonder, how do you approach a game like tomorrow when you're 2-0 up, and also you don't have a game this weekend? So do you plan to rotate a bit from the weekend, or go into the break with?
We plan to change a little bit, but ultimately we need to be ready for the game. We want to qualify. As I said, I would never take anything for granted. We have to do the job, and you know, it's being 2-0 up might sound good. It would be nice if you're 3 or 4-0 up, because it's more. But at the moment, 2-0 up could be a difficult result. You know, we don't want to give the opponent any opportunity to get back in the game if we can help it. And we know we have to do a really good professional job.
I imagine it'll help having the game at home as well, and expecting a big crowd tomorrow as well.
Yes, we are, and we've had great crowds over the last 2 seasons. I think the West Ham fans have really enjoyed the European games. We took a big crowd away, and they'll all be really hoping that we can get to the quarterfinals and further this year as well.
I wanted to ask you a question about Gianluca Scamacca. Your comments on the weekend. One of his teammates from Sassuolo, former teammates, has said Scamacca's told him that training in England is a bit more intense, and suggested that perhaps in Italy they're years behind in terms of gym work. Have you found that a bit with Scamacca in terms of his physical side?
I think we find it with everybody who comes to the Premier League has got to get used to the level of intensity. It's not just MD from Italy, it's not just Gianluca. I think everybody who comes, and you hear me, but you certainly hear other managers who say, you know, it's taking players time to adjust to the levels of the Premier League, and also the speed and the intensity, the demands of the games, the regular demands. And for a lot of teams now, we've all had a really, really difficult schedule. So I think that's for someone coming from overseas, I think is not as bad as what we feel as if we get it in the Premier League.
And going into this international break, where do you think those new signings are in terms of adapting to the Premier League in West Ham?
I think they're much further on now than they've been. I think they're getting much closer to understanding exactly what it's like. I think they'll get better now, and they'll grow and improve now as we go on. So let's hope that we can show that in our form in our games coming up.
Just finally from you, we touched on it at the start, but what would it mean to get to another quarterfinals of a European competition? Do you think?
It would be great. It's a big job. It's the first thing you have to do. The big thing then, and what we really want is to reach the final, but we can't get to the final unless we get to the quarterfinals first, and we have to be focused completely on doing that job.
Right. So that was David Moyes. It looks a little bit more chipper, a little bit less testy than what he has done in recent games. So you can't really, you can't really read too much into it. I think he doesn't criticise the fans as much in this one. He's not criticising Scamacca either, off the back of the article that was written by Fratesi that he was clearly aware of. And if you've seen some of the other comments that he makes, later in the press conference, he refers to David Moyes to Scamacca as a good boy, a really good boy. Actually, he's a really lovely boy. So I don't know whether somebody's had a word with him from the club about all the fanfare surrounding his treatment of Scamacca. I bloody hope so. But I fully expect Scamacca to be getting a game tonight. I think he will. It is going to happen. I think he'll get a full 90 minutes. Whether or not he's going to play in a way which will suit him or not, I don't know. But then, having said that, this is it's average opposition. He should be okay, providing we've got enough players up there, with him, in support of him. Not necessarily that close to him. He should be okay. He should be able to have quite a decent game. And I hope that the fans that do go tonight do give that man in particular some love, Scamacca, because he does need it. I mean, you're getting mixed messaging because something's just popped up on Twitter. It's West Ham Central. And this is apparently a headline from the Daily Mail, from Mail Sport, and they've said Gianluca Scamacca is set to start for West Ham on Thursday night, with manager David Moyes ordering his £35.5 million striker to stop his disappearing act. Now, I don't know whether that's a direct quote, or I'm not too sure, but there's definitely there is definitely some animosity between Scamacca and Moyes. I don't know what it's about. It's not just Scamacca and Moyes. There's a number of players. We know this. You heard the same from X on his podcast. Saying that he was speaking to playing staff and stuff like that, or coaching staff, until the early hours after the Aston Villa game, and they were telling him all of the issues. He didn't go into detail because he's not going to, but basically X said, if I do go into detail, it's just going to cause more harm than good, so I'm not going to, which basically clarifies things are rotten at the club. And we've had this from Jacob Steinberg, where he reported in The Guardian as well a few weeks back now, saying the same thing. He's got relationships with players. They've obviously come to him and give him a bit of an insight. Moyes has lost that changing room. He has. They've lost patience with him, but they're still playing for they're playing for the fans. They're playing for themselves, and they're playing for the fans. Now, what X did also allude to in his podcast is that the board have lost faith in David Moyes. They have, but they don't back their own ability to be able to go out and find a suitable replacement. It's not good enough. It's just not good enough. So if the board have finally accepted that he's the wrong man, then to me that says they've almost accepted that we could go down. Because if they're thinking that, because ultimately their goal this season is survival. Now it is. But if they're kind of admitting that, if that's where they've arrived, then they've accepted themselves that this is going to go badly this season. But they don't back themselves to be able to go out and get someone else in. Why would you not try? Why would you not gamble? It doesn't make any sense to me at all. But it does sound very ominous. Had other information today that sort of fresh from the training ground, if you like, to say that the atmosphere. The atmosphere around the place is just, it's morose. There's no atmosphere, there's no laughing, no joking, nobody's talking to each other. Like I say, it may not necessarily translate onto the pitch because they are professionals. They want to play football, they want to score goal, they want to get win bonuses, they want to get goal bonuses, they want to play for the fans ultimately. But yeah, it's not looking good, and we've got a huge month in April coming up. Really, really huge month. We've got 9 games, all tightly packed together. I don't know whether you've seen the fixture list, but it's scary. So on the 2nd of April, we play Southampton at home. Just 3 days later, on the 5th of April, we play Newcastle at home. 3 days later, we play Fulham away. 5 days later, on the 13th, we've got the first leg of the quarter-final, Europa Conference League quarter-final. 3 days after that, we play Arsenal at home. Then we've got a 4-day break when we face off against whoever it is in the second leg of the Europa Conference League quarter-final. Then we've got a 3-day break before we play Bournemouth away, a 3-day break before we play Liverpool at home, and then a 3-day break before we play Palace, and that's away. I mean, sweepstake on how many injuries we're going to have by the time we get halfway through that lot. Moyes is going to have to use his squad. He's going to need all of these players if he's going to have any chance at all. I mean, that's intense. It really is. And we've got far more. Our fixture congestion is far more, even without the European games, it's compacted more than others because we've got games in hand and they're all just getting bunged in the next month. May doesn't look much better, to be quite honest. That's going to be just as hectic. So it's looking scary. I mean, there's nothing to say that, we could come back, get off on the 2nd on the right foot, beat Southampton at home. That removes the pressure. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, there are still games. I know Southampton and Forest lost, didn't they, yesterday? So that's good. That's good. But there are more games this weekend, and there's more games before we play, which could see us quite fit. I think we'll be in the bottom 3 by the time we play our next game. We could be bottom. We could quite conceivably be bottom. But we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. Right, now going back to these the fan debate that we were all talking about. Like I say, one of the comments, an example of the comment that was posted on John's video yesterday was this. And he says, I've told you this before, we've had the worst home support in the Premier League for the past 20 years. 60,000 professional victims does not help the players. Now, the players don't like us. Who would want to play for fans like ours? No other club in the top flight has to face their fans. They play for their fans. West Ham fans are embarrassingly poor. We used to be one of the best. Every one of our players knows we are the biggest problem. Now, respectfully, I've never read such a steaming pile of shit. I'm sorry, I really don't agree with that. That is attacking the fans. That's ignoring. And this guy, I've had a debate with him. I'm not going to call his name. If you want to read it, go and read it in the previous comments. But I've had a debate with him before where he references Arsenal. Look at Arsenal. Look how great they are this year. Yeah, there's a correlation. Look how shit their atmosphere has been for the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years. It's been crap. Now they're good on the pitch. The fans are good. They're enjoying it. Because this is the thing. West Ham did not ask. As fans, we didn't put up much of a fight, admittedly, but we didn't ask to be moved into a 60,000-seater arena where you're miles away from the action. We didn't ask for that. And you're going to say, oh, blaming the stadium again. It isn't just the stadium. It isn't just the distance from the pitch. It's the fact that our core fan base, which created that magnificent atmosphere on a regular basis at Upton Park, not every game. If the game's crap, it was crap back then. It's crap when you go to any club. If the game is poor and you're losing, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. We're not a small club. We've got high expectations of our team. If that makes us entitled, then so be it. But we're not going to sit there in a ground singing I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles on loop for 90 minutes while our team is sat behind the ball, while we've got a manager that is going for maximum 90% of the time a point in a game. That's his goal. We know that. We can see that. He doesn't make changes towards the end of the game to go for the win. He doesn't do it. So what is there to get excited about as a fan in our scenario? You're not. We've been diluted. The fan base has been diluted. We've doubled in size. Everyone's been split up. We've got new fans. We've got tourists. Everyone's miles away. You're getting constant circulation from the club, which is what people don't talk about, telling us not to stand. You must sit. They're putting walls up to block the away fans off from the home support, so you can't even really have that banter anymore. So that's gone. So the people who are actually operating the club, the people who are running it, are helping to kill that atmosphere as it is. But ultimately, it does come down to the football that's being played on the pitch, because we've shown on a few occasions, Sevilla, I'll just use Sevilla as an example. Stadiums like that, they're like cup final stadiums. Special occasions. That was a special occasion night. Everyone was up for it. 90% of games they're not going to be like that wherever you go. We've all been away. We've been away to Liverpool, to Newcastle. When we was away at Newcastle, people were commenting how quiet it was. And that's Newcastle, who are flying high at the moment, but it was quiet there because the game weren't great. So you don't get a massive, amazing atmosphere. It's just not going to happen. Maybe it's a UK fan problem. We're not like the ultras of Europe. We don't just come and light flares and jump up and down like a load of fucking robots all game. We don't do it. We want to be engaged. That's what we want, and particularly in these new arenas. This is the thing. I've said it before. If you go back to the 15-16 season, you go back to that last game, the fans won that game. We was never, ever going to lose that game, that last game. We sucked that ball into the net. We were the 12th man. It's impossible to be the 12th man in this stadium. We didn't win the game at Sevilla. We didn't do that. The team did. And the team created the atmosphere around them because they're putting on a show. It's like a theatre. These new arenas are like theatres. And you're going as a customer to sit down miles from the fucking action, not be engaged with it because you can't be because you're nowhere near it, but enjoy a show. If the show is shit, it's going to be quiet. Now, the other thing that people don't talk about is if the home support is such a problem, then why is our home record so much better than our away record? We've got, I think you'll all agree, even those that do pin the blame on the home support for our bad results. Why is our away form so terrible? We've got one of the best away followings in the country, bar none. They're positive, they're lively, they're flipped in one game, and that was Brighton when we were 3-0 down and just trying to do damage limitation. That's probably the first time that the away fans for quite a while were flipped and lost it with Moyes through nothing but pain and misery whilst they've been following them up and down the country. So why is our away form terrible? Is that our fault? Is that to do with the London Stadium? Is that to do? So no, it's not. Ultimately, I suppose if you put it in a level of hierarchy, the fans are important. The fact that we've been diluted, there isn't really a connection there. We're divided. We're not getting on. You've only got to look on Twitter. You can't post anything without people getting at each other's throats. It just seems to be what we would rather do: fight each other rather than stand together and fight what needs to be fought. The other thing is the stadium. The stadium doesn't lend itself to a good atmosphere at all. It doesn't. Even in Sevilla, it was nothing like the atmosphere at Upton Park. It was just noise. That's all it was. It was a boiling pot of noise. You can't get a song going in that stadium, really. Not synchronised, you can't. Because of the way the acoustics work in that place, it just doesn't lend itself to that. You can't. By the time they've started singing, everyone's out of time. It's just a load of noise. It's a massive open air. Yeah, it's not ideal for that. You've got massive gaps in the stadium between upper tier and lower tier. You're not together. That doesn't help. So you might have localised atmospheres, but it's never going to be joined up. The other problem and the main problem, and this is the biggest problem of all, is what's happening on the pitch. Because they're not doing their part, It's all very well David Moyes coming out and saying, well, and Sullivan, the fans have got to back us, have got to get behind us, complaining about the dynamic of this stadium and what we are now. You have put us here, Sullivan. Sullivan, you've plonked us here, mate. You've put us in an arena for a big club. Big clubs entertain their fans. That's what they do, We're not supposed to be like a Burnley or a Wigan, a little spiky little club, or a Nottingham Forest that rely on the ghost of Brian Clough to save them at home. No, we're not. We're supposed to be bigger than that. That was the whole idea behind the move. So you've removed the fans from the equation. You've increased numbers, but moved them further away from the pitch. You've removed the 12th man, which means that team on that pitch are on their own when they're at home. It's as simple as that, And it will be. I'm not saying you can't have good days out there. If the football's good, it will be good. We've all had good times over the last 2 years in that stadium. When it's good, it's good. It will never be great. It just won't. It will never be Upton Park. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, go and watch Iron Men. And and just fast forward to the section where it goes to the last day of the season. Try and turn your TV up, watch that for about 10 minutes, before, during the game and after the game. Then you'll see the difference. We will never experience anything like that again as West Ham fans. We just won't. We have to accept that. And the club, the board and the manager have to accept that as well. And they have to accept that that's not our fault. It's not our fault. We didn't plonk ourselves in this situation. So, no, they need to stop pissing and moaning. David Moyes is obviously just going to be here. I don't think anyone, including by the sounds of it now, Sullivan and Brady, think that he's going to succeed. So it's going to have to be a miracle that we rely on. So maybe as fans, we do have to sort of try and do our bit because no one else is going to. Maybe we do have to. Maybe we have got to try and be that 12th man in an impossible environment. But maybe we're going to have to try. I don't know. Because nobody else is doing anything. They're just going to let us go out. The manager's doing nothing extra to win games. He's doing just enough and it ain't working. We're getting a point at best in most instances. The board are not acting. No one's doing anything. We're just going out with a whimper. I feel sorry for the players on the pitch. They're who I go to watch. That's who we all go to watch. I think we're all in the same boat. And for those of you that say that talk about the booing after the game, that's out of order on the players. No, look, these players go on social media. They know 100% who those boos were directed at. They know. Everyone knows the fans hate Moyes now, apart from a very tiny minority, and it is a small minority now. That's all it is. The vast majority now want him gone. They want him gone. And no doubt the players feel the same. We're all in this together. So they would have known exactly who we were booing at. When we were singing "We're fucking shit" away at Brighton, that's an attack on David Moyes. They would have known that, But look, that's it from me. Let me know what you think. I've got to go because I've got a busy day today. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like I said, help us get to 5k, please. We really appreciate it. Drop a like on the video. And we'll see you again later. Come on, you irons.